And so my experience of my father can be summed up in the Instagram photo that I posted a few weeks ago, which is a pen and a highlighter drawing of my father with a speech bubble that only says, "Ah," like he just yelling.
Remember, I did send you that. You saw that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I saw that you had a plan and then I didn't read it. It just matters that there is one.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about background, your story, most important teacher, maybe reference to a book or two.
Shall I face you some more? Maybe.
Alex just moved. Is he still good?
Is this how I'm meant to sit on here?
Sure. I have some juice. Would you like a juice?
Oh, I'm good, thanks. No, I don't drink juice.
All right. Here we go. We'll back it up.
It's an edited product,
yeah.
so
a little bit. Yeah.
You have some flexibility.
Hey, everyone. David McElwain here at our offices at Valley and Beyond. And I just want to introduce my friend Alex Ford.
Hi, guys.
So, Alex, tell us a bit about, your background and how this all came to be. And we'll get to what you're doing right now, but yeah.
About me?
Where did the drive come from?
Where did the drive come from? Well, my dad mostly, I would say. I am a only child from an upper middle class white family in Canada. So I'm basically that category of individual who, on a world stage, has it pretty easy, had it pretty easy. I don't know if I have it easy anymore, but my predominant circumstances in life have been a circumstance of being well supported by my parents and well supported by my society, went to school. I don't have conflict happening. We don't have people shelling our communities. We're a pretty stable nation. Mm-hmm. And I was born in 1988, which was the year of the Olympics in Calgary. And that was also, we were a pretty strong oil town. That first 15 years of my life, it's like we were just a strong economy, a strong town. I had no sense of, any recession. I had no sense of economic hardship, none of that. So I grew up having access to, whatever I wanted. Mm-hmm. Really, if I wanted something. There was not a time that the fridges weren't stocked and I could have my friends over and everything else. In school, I was too smart for my own good, and I have authority issues. So,
I've noticed all of this.
Oh, it's noticeable. What ended up happening is I would never really be the delinquent, but I would be with the delinquents. You're the delinquent in our relationship. Okay?
Clearly.
So that's the role I play. I became a master at being a part of the show without having to be the show. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I'm not the show, but I get to be in the show. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of just that's kind of the context. Contextually, we all have our own hero's journey, right? And my hero's journey is kind of built on a story that I've manufactured out of my experience with my father, which is that he was a pharmacist he was the associate pharmacist for Shoppers Drug Mart in Forest Lawn here in Calgary. And basically, from the time I was a kid to the time that he retired, which is the first 12 or 13 years of my life, he was horribly overworked. Alberta law says that if you have posted pharmacy hours, you must have a pharmacist. And so Shoppers Drug Mart has pharmacies open till midnight. It's the busiest pharmacy in the city at the time. And so my experience of my father can be summed up in the Instagram photo that I posted a few weeks ago, which is a pen and a highlighter drawing of my father with a speech bubble that only says, "Ah," like he just yelling. And so my perception of his life was that he suffered growing up. I didn't have clear language for it. I don't know that I ever even articulated it to myself until looking back on my life. And I don't know. I started working with him really, really young. I started working with him as Santa's little helper and stocking shelves when I was like 5. I was punching a time card at Shoppers Drug Mart working. And I don't know if I wanted to work to be with him because he wasn't like a major part of my life. It's like at home, it was me and my mom. He was at work. I worked till midnight all the time, right? I'm a kid. I go to bed at 7 or 8 or whatever. So I wanted to work with my dad. And that was the way that I ended up being able to spend time with him. And so, you know, I developed an ethic of work being something that you just do and not something you necessarily got to enjoy early in life. And I have this one particularly vivid memory because the antiparticle to that whole situation was that he would work, but when he wasn't working, he would take us on holidays. So I'd been to Hawaii, like, by the time I was 20, I'd been to Hawaii, like, to Hawaii, Orlando, like a few other places, mostly Hawaii, like 20 times. So I grew up with like this sense of holidays being something that were begrudged, because when we would go on holiday, what would happen is my dad would shift from the way of being that he was at home to the way of being that he was on holiday, which was, now we're on austerity, right? So we go from, it's like this totally polarized thing. I'm like, it doesn't seem like we're suffering. We have money. We're like, we have a family, but my dad is like, hates his life, doesn't appear to enjoy it. I feel like he's suffering. I never get access to him. And then we go on holidays and he can't even enjoy it. So it's like, he didn't get the benefit on either side of that equation. And I think that basically that experience formed my primary drive in life, which is to help people find a greater meaning so that they can turn their work into art, so that it's not like something they have to suffer through, right? Like, I really believe in helping people find opportunities to step into activities and work and rituals of meaning that reflect a sense of who they are and reflect a sense of what's important to them, so that they can like have their cake and eat it too. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of where I came from. I started my first business when I was 12, and basically from that moment on, I've been an entrepreneur. I went through the motions of school, went through the motions of university, failed out after 2 years. And I've just been dedicated to building a business that serves entrepreneurs and business owners and finding their story and acquiring leads and hopefully scaling a business that matters to them. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how I see that in our relationship, you know, you've been so adamant about me finding the passion in it. You know, what is it you're doing?
Yeah.
You know, and we first started working together a couple of years ago, and I had a couple of businesses, and I didn't love one of them. And even the Valley business that I had, you know, I hadn't found my niche in it, you know, and since then I have, and I let the other business go. It was a real, you know, transition. The whole world had to collapse so that I could do that.
It was a bit of a cathartic moment.
Yes, and let the other business go, and somebody else has got it who loves it.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. But you were a really big part of that. You were, you know, like, okay, you know, let's get down to what really means something to you. And if that's what you're giving to or helping other businesses discover, that's a big deal. You know.
I think a lot of business owners maybe even start there and then they lose it. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody starts a business because they think it's going to be fun. Yeah. like you start a business because it means something.
Okay.
And then what happens is it gets to a point where the meaning is gone. We get washed out by distractions, and we get washed out by other people's agendas, and we get washed out by ideas of grandeur and money and all this capitulation.
Yeah.
So it's like the journey back to the breath in meditation. Mm-hmm. I think the same thing applies in our sense of purpose and identity in life. And as a business owner, coming back to the breath means coming back to the purpose. Mm-hmm. Like, why am I doing this? Right? Because it's so easy to get pulled away. Yeah,
yeah. With what I'm doing now, and I've discovered this whole thing around creating meditation spaces for people. I'm so, like, I got it. You know, and bundling. Last year.